Dear listeners,
Welcome back to another episode of Pen Pals. Today we are going to talk about cultivating independence while living at home. And I think to first start off, we want to talk about what is independence? What does independence look like for us? And Arshita, if you'd like to start for us, please.
yeah, I don't mind. So when I think about independence, like the idea that comes to mind for me is just being able to move however I want, both like physically and like intangibly, making decisions that I feel like I'm genuinely considering myself in rather than considering who I'm supposed to be in that moment, if that makes sense. Being able to explore myself and the world around me and being able to do all that without like constantly looking over my shoulder.
Okay.
How about you?
I, yeah, I love how you framed it in the way of like movement, just like being able to do that. I think for me, I think of freedom. I feel like that's very broad, but I think of the ability to, what is it? We talked about this a bit before, where time, right? My time doesn't feel like it's my time. So I feel as though with independence, it's actually, I have that. There's little to like no outside reliance on others or dependence on others. Not that I don't want to have a community or support system, but just more so, I guess, autonomy. I guess that would be the word. And having the will to make your own decisions and pursue your own path without having like these external responsibilities really attaching itself to you. And we talk cultivating independence, but how can we do that while at home? And is it possible to truly be independent while living at home?
I always want to preface these conversations by saying that I am very grateful and I'm very blessed to have like the home and family that I do. Like anything that I say is not a reflection on that.
Yes.
And there's definitely going to be a point in this conversation where we delve into like the positives of being at home too, which there are like many. But I do think it's possible to be independent at home, but I feel like it depends on the context because being at home comes with different like responsibilities and considerations. It always feels like there's no monetary cost to being at home, but there is sometimes that like emotional and intellectual cost because you're just constantly thinking things and experiencing things that are sometimes out of your realm of control or preference. When I think to like examples of where I feel like I have independence, one being like when I want to hang out with my friends, there's usually like no problem in like what I do with them, like, but I have to get like approval to go out first. So it's like once I'm there, I can enjoy and I can experience the things that I like about being independent, but I have to jump through the hoops to get there first. So like that's something that like I think about when like I do have independence, but there's still this like slight layer of like getting to that point every single time.
I like how you put it really about being able to, what is it? You have to kind of get that approval. I don't want to frame it as permission, but like it seems almost like that in a way of just, yeah, it's okay, you can go. And then after that, it's like, oh, you have free will. Like it's up to you. The world is your oyster. And to piggyback off of that, I would say, I think to a certain extent, I think yes and no, right? For me, I think the same way that you can be independent, but it's not going to be full independence because at least like there is that reliance, like you said, financially on family where I know they support us. However, you do pay, be it with like certain other, it's like a transactional relationship almost, but not really transactional. And I really like how you also put it. Listen, we want to preface, which we're very grateful to be in the in the circumstances that we are in. Very, very fortunate as well. We know how lucky we are to have these support systems because not a lot of people have that. So we want to make sure that we're aware of that, aware of our blessings to that though, being real and upfront with the challenges that come with being at home, that come with having other responsibilities that you may have not considered, like you said. I think of like chores, for example, like it needs to be done on my mom's time, not on my time. So,
Oh my God, that's such a big one. That's such a big one. Like I can always say that I'll do it, but if it's not done the moment like she wants
it's,
it,
yes,
yeah.
it's, I, literally she's like crazy going like ridiculous about like this whole situation. I'm like, okay, I'll do it and I'll get to it. And that has been an argument, or I wouldn't say an argument, something that we have tried to get through where I'm like, hey, I said I'm gonna get to it. Can you just give me 5 to 10 minutes? Like at this point I'm even trying to compromise, right? Because I would have gotten to it in like an hour or 2 hours, but I understand that okay, this is urgent to her. This is seems like it's a priority to her. So now I need to make it a priority. And I think like that's where I come from, where it's not anymore my time. Like, okay, now all of a sudden I need to consider everything else. And like you said, there's other considerations now to take into account. I even think of my sister, for example, when I'm at work, she'll call me and I'm like in a meeting and I'm like, girl, she thinks I'm at home because I'm working from home and I'm just not doing anything. She believes that my time is now her time. I'm available to her. And will call me, hey, can you pick me up from work? I'm like, girl, no, I'm at work. Like I don't have that flexibility. Also, I'm not your mom, respectfully. Like, I'm there as much as I can be, and I love you, but like, there is, I would say, that disconnect. I don't know. And I think that's where that disconnect of just being able to not be fully independent because of those responsibilities and also the expectations that they kind of hold you to, at least like what like our parents or like our siblings may hold us to, where we now have to perform or live up to that in the midst of also trying to cultivate our own independence.
I like that. I don't know what like came to my mind of this like image of availability, like when we're home. Like just because we're home doesn't mean that we're like free, which is like a hard thing
Yes.
to like explore because Pam and I both work like mostly remote jobs. So
Mhm.
yes, we have the leisure of like not having a long commute, not having to go in person every single day, like not have to spending time like getting ready because we're also a cameras off workplace for the most part. And like all those things are like great and it does free up time. I'm sure like things would be a lot more stressful if certain parts of that were different. But that doesn't automatically translate to like absolute like freedom of time either.
And to your point, I don't know why, but they don't understand that. Like, not that they don't understand. I think because I wanted to say a lack of understanding, but maybe it's also a lack of, at least like I find that my sister struggles with that a little bit more than my mom. Like my mom will sometimes she'll want to talk. I'm like, oh hey, how's it going? And then all of a sudden they'll try to turn into like a 10-15 minute talk. And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. I don't have that time. I'm out here trying to, work, either do reports or whatever the case may be, my daily tasks that need to be done. And trying to express that in a way that's also not taken personal, because I find that's another thing where if I can't complete a certain task that my mom needs or that my sibling needs, it's like, oh, you hate me. And I'm like, okay, well, I didn't say that. I didn't mean that. I'm not available to you at that moment. But I would like to say also to availability, and I don't know if this is just a me thing or a me problem, but I do believe I allowed myself to be more available than what I thought I was, or like, I guess like made them to believe that I was more available or I was available to them. And so that was an expectation that they had of me. But then now that, hey, no, actually a 9 to 5 takes time. It takes a lot. We also have our external responsibilities that we're trying to taking into account the other commitments that we have, and also just pursuing our life's purpose or our career path or whatever the case may be. That takes time and that takes energy and that keeps us busy. And so we're not available. So yeah, I may be in my room, but I'm in my own little world trying to cultivate my life. And they think that I'm just like lollygagging, I think, or like not doing anything. But I mean, I think that we kind of that was going to be our follow-up question actually. What are some challenges that we have experienced while living at home and simultaneously finding your independence? And I mean, at least I said a little bit of like my time isn't my own time or that lack of understanding. So what else could it be? I don't know, Rashida, if you have any more that could be an example of a challenge, because I'm going to also be thinking of some challenges as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would say a lot of like my challenges from my experience are more like that emotional and like intellectual stuff that I'd like
Mhm.
been kind of leaning into a little bit earlier. One of the biggest challenges I feel because I feel very like growth and achievement oriented is I feel that now that I'm at home and I've lost a little bit of that like freedom to try new things and experience new things basically. I feel like my self growth is like a little bit stunted. I think since the time I've been home, like I haven't been challenged as much. I haven't tried new things. And I feel like because of that, my confidence and my openness that I really did have and cherished in college kind of disintegrated a little bit. I feel like more uncomfortable going into rooms that I previously wouldn't have had any issue with. Like I walked around with a lot of audacity when I had all the independence that I did. You know, like when you're in college, you're so much more like self-reliant that like what other choice
Yeah.
is there to not be those things?
Mm.
Another thing that I think of is that like metaphor that people often talk about when they talk about returning home, which is trying to like fit into old clothes despite outgrowing them a bit. Kind of like in line with what I was talking about before. I grew up and I changed so much when I was in college, partially due to like how much alone time I had to grow out. And now being at home, being in an environment that I don't always feel like I fit into anymore, I think that's also affecting like my self sense of confidence and self discovery. It feels sometimes like a little bit of a dissonance between like who I
Mhm.
am, who I want to be, who I was, and like who I've lost and who I'm becoming all at once.
Yeah.
I think like another thing that definitely took a hit was like my connections with other people. All of my friends are obviously like as well.
Yeah.
You guys are super understanding of like the conditions that come with me hanging out with you guys.
Yeah. Oh.
And like That's
Nothing
all
of the
great, and
same
we always
things.
make the most of our time together, but that doesn't mean that our proximity isn't affected by my mobility. And then the last thing that I've like thought about is I think because that's the one I've been struggling with the most is that
Mhm.
sometimes it's hard because I do get that independence. I get those bits that I want, but I also feel like my family hasn't understood the line between like independence and isolation. When they give me time to do things on my own, they also don't like ask about it or they don't learn about it, and sometimes it feels like they don't want to know about these things or they don't want to know about the person I am outside of like the home. And like that's a big part of me that I feel like isn't seen by people that I live with and like spend a lot of
Mhm.
time with. So I think those are all things that come with just
Mhm.
struggling with this like balance of independence and being at home for me personally.
No, I think you really hit it on the nail with a lot of it. I feel like the last part, I talked about isolation. It's kind of like alienation, like they're alienating you from the family by not asking you those questions, despite the fact that you wish to be asked and you want to be seen in that way because we have been seen. I mean, we joined groups, we were of service to others, and we were seen. We were, if anything, like not put on a pedestal, but I would say like people would see us because they would come to us in some way, shape, or form. And I also liked how you put it where it's hard to go back to a place where like at least like the way you put it was fitting into old clothes. And the way I see it, because we always are talking about self discovery, self improvement, and growth in itself, where I don't want to make it like take it to a dark path, but more so it's very difficult to heal and grow in a place where they have also caused some level of
Yeah.
hurt, some level of confusion. I don't want to say trauma, but yes, trauma. And while very, very grateful, I always say everything happens for a reason. I'm a true believer of that. I do also believe that it is a certain level of there's a certain level of difficulty when you're trying to grow in the same place that has like I don't know, it can re-trigger you, it can reopen wounds that wait, I thought I was past this, or I felt in college where I was invincible. I love how you said you had the audacity. You would step into rooms and whatnot. And I felt like, yeah, I can turn into a different Pamela. I felt like I was a person that I was able to reinvent myself so many times. And I didn't have these external like expectations or notions of who I had to be. It was just like, okay, you can be that. I think a big challenge as well is feeling guilty for living my life almost
Yeah.
because sometimes I am always, almost always outside. And I treat the home like it's a hotel. And my mom has definitely made that
Oh,
very
I've heard that
apparent.
one too.
Yeah.
I've definitely heard that
She
one too.
like, like I'm so sorry, I'm also trying to live my life. And I will say it's through the help of many, many things where like therapy has helped, where my therapist will be like, hey, you are in the stage of life where you are to discover yourself. You are meant to be going out and it's like fortifying these relationships, right? You are meant to be cultivating and just growing your sense of like self. So you shouldn't feel bad, but it is difficult because I feel as though I'll get messages or the family group chat is going off all of a sudden, or my mom needs something, or my father's calling me, and I'm like, oh my gosh, all of a sudden everybody needs something the moment that like I'm not home. And that is difficult when, like I said, you're trying to reclaim your time. I think the difficulty of leaving and then coming back was something that hit me harder than what I thought it was going to hit me because I realized I don't want to be that Pamela anymore. I want them to also understand that the same way that they're living their life, they're finding themselves, like they have their activities, they have their day-to-day job. Like my sister has her school or whatever activities. It's the same way where I have my own like responsibilities. And where, I don't know, Pamela's not always going to be there. Oh, like, because my sister calls me Mana. Oh, Mana this, Mana that. Oh, no, maybe we can figure it out on our own selves. I think that's also healthy for them to be independent and grow their own confidence within themselves, their own trust. So I think in a way, cultivating independence while living at home also helps them. They just don't see it that way, I will say. I need to also make sure that I'm aligning myself in the best way possible to fulfill my purpose. I'm filling my glass. That's not going to be anymore. I don't want to be half empty, guys. I want to be more so half full. And actually, not even. I want to be full. Like that's what I think of it as when you're cultivating independence, at least the way I see it, is you're taking those steps to do so. So there are many challenges. I mean, I even think of, I don't know, a challenge of myself where what can I say? Like my cousins, they'll text me because they see me at home, find my great, great app, right? Love it. but they see me at my house, for example, 9 to 5 or 9 to 6, whatever the
Yeah.
case may be, and they're thinking, "Oh my God, Pam is free. Pam can do anything. Why don't we go get lunch? Why don't we do this?" And I'm like, "No." I was like, "Lunch, an hour. We gotta take into account the commute though if we go somewhere, or you guys can come over here,
You can bring me
or
food.
let's think about that." And they'll tell me, "Oh, I forget. Like you have your 9 to 5." I'm like, guys, no, we can't forget though. And I think there's that, I don't know, they may see it as one from one perspective, but there is so many more perspectives that come into play. So it's difficult, I would say, but
I have two things. One,
yeah,
your whole thing of like how you discovering your independence ripples into like your family also discovering their independence. I remember one time like my mom was like trying to go to like an event in the city and I was like unable to go because I wasn't able to take time off, but she could if she wanted to.
yeah,
And then like she didn't want to go unless I went and I was like, no, but like you should go. Like this is a great opportunity. Like why would you miss
yeah,
out on that? And she was like, like you should be encouraging me to be independent. You should be like supporting me when I'm trying to learn how to be independent because you have been able to do that, but like we didn't grow up with that.
mhm,
And like obviously I had some feelings towards it, but one thing that definitely like led me to think about was just, we were raised very differently, and we do get to be the first people in our family who get like that kind of experience of being able to move around and do things.
yeah,
And maybe it is scary for them, and maybe that's just I don't know something to give like a little bit more grace to while they're like you said like while we're figuring out our independence and who we are, they're also trying to do the same thing, and maybe us taking that time for ourselves will help them do that even if it looks a little rocky at first. I'm sure it didn't look that great on us either when we were going through the thick of it.
no, I mean, and I agree. I love how you said it ripples into them also discovering themselves because I think right now it's a little bit rocky. It's a bit emotional too. Them trying to, I guess, like reconcile with that with that notion.
Yeah.
But I also feel that it's important. I think it's very pivotal for them as well. They're entering a new era, a new stage of their life. And I mean, because we are too. We're in a different stage of life where it shouldn't be about family all the
Yeah.
time. I think that's what it is, and there's nothing wrong with saying that. I know I fear that my siblings are gonna look at this and they're gonna be like, "So you hate us? Like you don't want to spend time with the
You're
family?"
probably gonna get that.
No, 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 I am. I know. Just let me preface, guys. My family's high maintenance. We all are high maintenance, okay? Like, just every single one of us is like high maintenance individuals, like truly. But it's okay because we love each other, and that's why we are goal getters and we are ambitious and we try to strive for so much, clearly. But to that, I mean, how would I say, where I find that in the long run, just like anything, right? I think this was one of the TikToks that I posted was on the caption was like, nothing good comes easy. And I think truly when you talk about independence, when you talk about finding yourself, when you talk about building that trust within yourself, because that comes with independence, that's not going to come easy. I mean, we see it when we pay that, be it an emotional toll, like well, we don't really pay the financial toll, but like the emotional toll or the mental toll or the even physical toll sometimes if we need to do any type of activities that is what we are paying with. However, in the long run, I will say it's all worth the while. At least some type of consolement for myself or anything. Or at least we won't get there because we'll talk later about what are like the joys and
Yeah.
I guess the positives of living at home while simultaneously trying to, cultivate independence. And also how do we cope with it? Because it's not an easy day to day thing. I mean, like I said, going back to that part where I feel guilty at times, I mean, I see sometimes my mom with this sense of sadness and she's just like, oh, my kids are growing. Oh my gosh, you guys are all at different stages. What do I do? And that I don't know, I really do hope that pushes my mom in a way to also find her own community, find her own group of friends. And that's what I mean by like, this can be a very good thing. It's just, there's a lot that comes to it.
Yeah.
And you also, as a person, at least for me, the way I see it is having to be stronger or having to be firmer in my boundaries in order to then have them see that, you know?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there are a lot of factors that limits one to be fully independent while at home.
The other thing I wanted to go back to, because I think there's so much to discuss on like how we're like building that out for ourselves, even despite those challenges we're feeling, was something because I think I also experienced that and I'd love to like talk it through before we move on because I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk about it again. Was you mentioned it, I've definitely mentioned it before in like other episodes, this idea that like when we were like on campus and we were like in all our clubs and organizations over there, we had a lot of people demanding things from us then too. Do you think it was easier to deal with those kinds of demands in comparison to your like family's demands now?
You know, that's a very interesting question. I will say sometimes yes and no. I feel as though, okay, and let me, I guess, like explain that. I know I keep saying yes and no, or to a certain
Well,
extent.
most of the questions we have are yes and no answered.
They're very ambiguous. Okay, well, not
Yeah.
ambiguous, just open-ended for you, for
You
one to,
can tell we're two somewhat law-oriented people because I feel like that's been like the it depends is like the quintessential like
I mean,
law answer.
because it can go either way. Where I feel as though the demands made by when we were of service to others, not that we're not being of service to our family, but I think there is that the dynamic changes, or at least the connection between my family is different than the connection that I have maybe to colleagues or to team members or to just peers. Let's just say as a whole, right? And I would say a responsibility or knowing that there is not a demand coming from my family. It's much more prioritized, at least when it came to my colleagues, peers, or team members, because they see me in a different light. And I think that I knew, okay, no, I needed to perform. This is a priority. This is important in my life. And also, I would say, because we were in that moment and that time where it's everything college related, this is my world. So obviously, this is going to be A, B, and C. I'm going to make it the first priority. Now, I think, and I don't know, this kind of goes, at least for me, the way I go back to feeling that it's a bit difficult to grow in the same place that has hurt you or you have had some trauma in or whatever the case may be. Not that it's impossible, nothing's impossible, but it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You are just going to have to work a little bit harder, probably. I feel as though there are certain demands made by my family. I feel as though I have to obviously abide by them, especially when it comes to my mom, because she is the sole provider, or she's the one who is taking care of us, and she's the one financially like providing for us. But at the same time, and I've had to reckon with this, there was a certain type of resentment that I had within my family because of like whatever the case may be, of just old triggers, old wounds have reopened, and now I'm like, well, I'm trying to live my life and like I'm trying to do this and I'm trying to, and you don't see it, but now you're asking me to do this. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, like, what do you want? Like, but then having to bring myself down, right, from that cloud and realizing, okay, well, I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am. I'm very lucky and I'm very grateful. And another thing is, it's okay to be grateful and it's okay, yes, feel those great emotions, but also sit with the fact that it does suck for a little bit. I mean, it's not gonna, I don't think that it sucks. I just think it's different. It's a different life that you're living now from the one previous, and it's okay to grieve what it once was to what it is now, but also being patient and making way for what's to come and really building that path and building those steps necessary. Because of the way I see it is that also I like how you're saying about these demands. These demands are only going to last for so long, at least the way I see it. Because the moment that we move, it's going
Yeah.
to be a for sure definite move. And I really pray, right, unless tragedy strikes, that I don't move back home. That the moment that I would say not taking my leave, but taking that step. Okay, now I have, be it my own apartment, be it with like friends or whatever the case may be. But now having my own place, I'm not gonna have those same demands from my family. So I'm trying to make it a little bit easier, trying to give myself that type of advice, or I guess like type of thinking to be able to get through it. I think it's very dependent. I think it also depends on the type of request. I mean, if it's chores, it's fine, okay, like I guess like whatever the case may be. Oh no, we've gone through it with trying to she'll call family meetings because we're not getting chores done. I'm like, okay, it's a family meeting. I'm thinking this is 911 type of emergency. No, it's
No,
like
it's
just
just the
somebody take
chores,
out
it's
the
the dishes.
trash. Like, no, literally, oh, we need to make sure that we're taking out the cardboard. And I'm like, okay, like we're taking out the recycling. I'm like, okay, mom, I get it. Like, but that's dire to her. And I have to honor those like demands, honor those requests in the same light, I would say, the same urgency that she does. It's a very fine line to, I would say, to work through. But I'm also interested to hear like what do you have to think?
Yeah, I don't know, because I was thinking about it and I was like, wow, like I definitely was fielding more demands in like college than I am at home for sure. Now like I don't know, when you're in like five or six different organizations, everybody always wants something. And like with like working in Res Life, like last year, everyone wanted something. Sometimes it was the new people I worked with.
This.
I think it was easy partially because I felt like the work I was doing was meaningful. I think that made a big difference because I definitely feel more motivated and on top of things when I feel like the work I'm doing has some value to like my community. And like obviously that's not the same thing as like doing your dishes at home. And then the other thing I would say, I don't even know how to describe it because like you said, like the work is important to the people like at home and also like I don't want it to be like I'm living in a hotel. Like I want to be able to like do things and like contribute to the household.
Like the low-key expectation, like if you're not paying anything, then you should be helping out with the chores or doing this. And
And
I'm
like that
like,
all makes
yes.
sense. I also feel like I don't know, to some extent you also like when like at least for me when I was in like student organizations, I felt like I was like very often like the problem fixer and I didn't really have that like responsibility at home. And now I'm an adult and like now I do have more of that responsibility or at least like I should. And so I think like I don't know, applying this role that I was always external to my home to now like internal to my home and like assuming that role just feels different. Not to say that I won't adjust to it, but like I think that's part of the reason why like the demand feels so different at home because it's just not something that I associated with it for a while.
You know who I not only do I agree, but I know my brother would agree with this because this man has come out and said to my mom, I love being back at college because I don't have to take out the trash. I don't have nobody nagging me talking about the dishes, talking about the trash, clean up your room. First of all,
How does he
those
live on
are
campus? You still
no,
have to take out your trash and clean your room.
girl, that's the same exact question I asked him. I said, so you're just living in filth? Like, what's wrong with you? What are you talking about? Because, Papa, that's like a day-to-day thing. That's just, I
Yeah.
don't know, like making sure that you don't live with the rats. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, just
You do that
what's
in like your own
wrong?
bedroom at home for sure. Like my room is still like clean. Like
Exactly. But when he said that, and I said, hey, I get where you're coming from. I think the way that you wanted to word it was like, okay, you don't want all these like requests or demands being thrown at you, or when it's her time when she said, "Oh, clean your room, you need to go clean it right now." But
but the
nonetheless, those
wording.
are the like right. The wording is one, the tone is another. But the way that it was said, and I think the way he wanted to express himself, he didn't convey it in a proper way. But because I said, nonetheless, those are still responsibilities that need to be done. Even
Yeah.
when one has like their own apartment, these are still responsibilities, chores that need to be done. It just changes because I think like it maybe it becomes more meaningful, but I think it also, well, not more meaningful, but I believe it also is. It's your own apartment. You want to
Yeah.
make sure you keep up with your place. You keep up with a place that you are going to probably have friends over. It's something that is now yours. At least I think that's the way I see it as well. Not that my home isn't mine, but it's shared. It's now a
Yeah.
shared living space.
Oh my god,
It,
that's so
it
res
is.
life coded.
No, it is. It really is. So it's weird because I love how you brought it up where, yeah, we got hit with so many requests on a day to day from residents, be it, what is it, whatever clubs that we were part of, even the jobs that
Yeah.
well, Res Life was our job, but
Like the
other
other
jobs
jobs
that we
we were doing.
had, yeah. And even I would say, like, classmates, like, oh, if
Yeah.
they're asking,
Oh
especially my
my
grad
god, yeah.
class, I'm so sorry, they would always hit us with, like, not, well, at least it would always be a question here or there. And I'm like, guys, like I'm trying to figure it out too. I don't know about you, but
Yeah.
I'm here doing my absolute best. So, but it felt, I don't know, maybe I wouldn't say mine, just different. Like you said, it's different where it's my life. I think of it in that way. Whereas now it's not that it's not my life, but it's like it's my life and my mom. It's my life and my sister.
Like time and friends or Arshida and friends like
Like,
Arshida.
like you know, it's like it's kind of like that TikTok, or I don't know if you guys have seen it, where it's like when you see her, you always see her,
Yeah.
and like that's how I think of like with my family. Like when you see me, oh, you just also see like
Yeah.
my mom, or you see like my sister. And I, at least for me, I think kind of not that I want to go back to independence, I guess, and defining
Yeah.
independence, but I think it goes back to like identity, and I think it goes back to what is it like just being able to have your own sense of identity,
Yeah.
having your own like okay, it's not just it's independence is being able like I was talking about autonomy, like you're you, like it's
Yeah.
like you're just like in control of yourself and you're in control of like your life. Whereas now it feels a little bit like I don't know, like there's a person in the back of my mind. Like now I need to think of like my mom, like especially when I think of like the trash. She always tells us certain days. I know I keep bringing up the trash, but that's been something in our house. Okay, like I don't know how to tell you guys, or I don't need to tell you guys anything, but it's we've had family
Yeah.
conversations because of it. Okay, and I'm like okay, but now I'm thinking in the back of my mind, oh, I need to now think of my mom. It's not anymore filled with oh, I need to do this for this club, or I need to do this, or I get to do this. I've been trying to reframe my mind like that. Now it's like, no, I need to do this. I need to think of because how is my mom gonna feel, or what's she gonna say, or what is she gonna think? So really being able to it's not an easy thing to do, but I think this is actually a really great segue of how do we cope with it? How do we reconcile with cultivating independence while also being at home? We can also talk about some of the positives as well, because there are positives,
Yeah.
guys. There are a lot of joys as well while living at home, and I think really trying to find your own independence.
Yeah, I think for me, like none of the tactics that I've used are obviously like full on replacement for like having like all those things that we've talked about before, but they've definitely like helped me cultivate some of the like things that I enjoyed about independence, like in the way that I can. One thing that's definitely helped me is just being online, which sounds bad, and there are also bad parts of this. Like I've definitely spent a little too long on social media, definitely spent a little too long on the internet. My Netflix watch time is really up and all that. But I think that being able to like create things on social media, being able to share things with other people, being able to find my community on there, find new ways to like go through my experiences and interpret them and like see them in the context of the big world allows me to like cultivate that like sense of expression I was getting while having my own time and own space to explore that. Another place I think I've found it is in working out in the gym, which sounds really corny and I sound like one of those like get up at 5 a.m. girlies. I don't do that. I still get up at like 8:30 in the morning to log in to work at 9. But
Yes.
like I swear by working out, regardless of whether it's in like the gym or like in my basement or my bedroom, because I think it's the experience of like having your headphones in and just like listening to like whatever makes you happy. And then also like pushing heavy weights allows me to like feel that like sense of self-sufficiency. It's like some of the workouts that I do are like hard, not to like toot my own horn. It's just like when I think about them and when I go through them and I like finish, I'm like, wow, like I did that. Like I can still rely on myself and I can still push myself to do more
Yeah.
and I can prove it to myself. So it's not the same thing as like emotionally pushing yourself, but it's still a like laborious task that does involve like you believing in yourself for a lot of it. So I think I'm able to like get that part of independence that I really liked in like a more compact form. I also think that lends itself to like a broader theme. I think my family's okay with me doing things independently when they know it's something that will benefit me. They can see will benefit me. Like classes, I take like classes like I think 5 out of the 7 days of the week. And I get my own time over there. And that's another way that they like see me benefit from like my alone time. And like in a way that they understand. I have a fellowship right now and like I hang out with my friends through that too. I get to meet new people based on that. And again, like they see my professional development benefit from that. So they're okay with me like spending that time alone. So I think I don't know, like not all those things are always accessible, but where they are, like it might be a helpful tactic. And then another thing, I'm rambling, but
No,
another
please
thing
go
that I see
ahead.
is just like when I do get time to be with people and to like have that time to be myself when I'm with like my friends, I feel like part of it is because like you know scarcity always makes things like valuable to people, but I think that being present in those moments, making every one of them like as magical as possible is kind of like how I get to maximize that time and like see and cherish that value instead of just like being like I only have like an hour with a friend. Like, you know, it is what it is. Like it is no, it's like it is what we're making it. So that part's something, and then the last thing, and then I'm gonna be quiet. Is
No, please.
that like kind of going back to that beginning? Like I like social media a lot because it's helped me like broaden my creative horizons, but there are other ways to go about it that like can be a little bit more analog, especially if you're like also trying to take time off from social media, which is so valid. But I think that in general, like creating things, like it can be art, it can be writing, it can be taking pictures, it can be like anything that like allows you to like I don't know, push the realm of possibilities and not just be stuck in your own like head and actually put it out there. I think I've like personally found so much joy in like creative writing, for example. I think that all like helps cultivate independence for me because like I don't know, nothing is just like what it is in front of me. Everything is so much more. And I think that's obviously something that I cherished a lot about having my own time and having my own space. But that those are my like 50 cents.
No,
Have at it.
please, please. This is, I was gonna say, I love them, and I'm taking it on. I really love how you put it into very beautifully. I always tell you that because truly, you vocalize it and articulate it in a very, like, very coherent and beautiful way. I mean, yes, there's a lot of joys with, and positives with, what is it, residing at home, right? And cultivating independence. At least the way I see it, and I was thinking of it from, like, a growth standpoint of it really shows one's resilience, one's strength, being
Yes.
able to be at home. And I think I was talking about it really like, okay, healing in a place and going in a place where it has hurt you or you have had like there's been wrongdoings or whatever the case may be. To me, I said it wasn't impossible. It's just a little bit more, a little harder, a little bit more difficult. But I think that really goes to show one's emotional intelligence. It goes to show one's, even I would say physical as well. Like, what is his strength? Even just like mental strength, right? How they're able to push against that, those notions, those expectations, and everything, and yet still say, you know what, I'm going to show up. I'm going to still do what it is that I need to do for my day to day, for myself. And I think I was talking about it about having like firmer boundaries. At least the way that's how I cope is trying to have firmer boundaries and how it is okay. This is what I can do for you, and this is what I can't do for you. And also being okay with like upsetting people. And I think that's where I go in with like my siblings. Where, for example, I know I can give them Monday to Thursday sometimes, but then the weekends are split with like my boyfriend, and that's something that has been troubling because they don't understand that, and they're like, why, duh, and all this. They just give me a lot of like, let's say, a lot of pushback. But also, I don't know. At least the way I try to like cope with it is like, okay, well, I'm also trying to do my life. I cannot live for others. I need to live for myself. And if I'm feeling bad or if I'm like giving in, it's now I'm living for them and not for myself. And I feel for the longest I have given up my parts of my life or I have given parts of myself for others. And it hasn't, I don't know, my biggest fear is not living up to my fullest potential. And I think that has become very, very more apparent now being at home, which I'm very grateful. I will say thank you for the crash outs. Thank you for the crises. I will appreciate that. I think that's as much as it did suck in the moment. Those are some of the positives that I look at because it has then led me to have these moments. It has led me to have like, okay, there is light at the end of the tunnel, and okay, how can I refocus and how can I reprioritize? I try to look at those moments or those like time frames of like boredom as like, okay, no, I can use these as moments to create. One thing that I've been really, really getting into is that my journaling where I'm like, okay, now I journal, try it every day. Be it a reflection of the day, be it a reflection of like something that's happening. And sometimes I am always very much like, oh, peace, love, and like light. And I'm like, girl, shut up. Like, you know what? Like, it's just say that you don't like how today went, even if it was like whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And I find my writing where like I'll be like, oh, like I hate today. Like I hate when like this went like wrong or like, oh my gosh, like did it. But then I find like at the end of my writing, I'm like, oh well, you know what? But I'm still grateful for today. It
Yeah.
taught me these lessons. And like I see how just in that moment alone, and just one journal entry and just because I was like, okay, I have time. And I think that's another thing where yes, it's more difficult where I say like my time isn't my time, but when we do have like those pockets of time and like it can lead to boredom, I think like no, it has led me to now moments of creation.
Yeah.
It has led me to moments of like, okay, I can journal. I like to do like gem art. That's what I like
Oh
to
my God,
do.
yes, you showed me.
I like to do like my junk journaling. And I find those moments where I'm like, okay, I can then pivot back into that. Another thing is that, for example, Valentine's Day just passed and my boyfriend asked me to be his Valentine, which of course, bare minimum
Yes.
guys make sure that they do that. But also I had like I saw there was like I don't know if you saw this or Cheetah, but there was these people creating like it was kind of like it was like a box, and I want to be a matchbox, but they can light up a heart,
Oh my
and
God,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
I have
tissue
seen those.
paper.
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes. And I, like I said, love social media because, well, yes, bad because sometimes I'm scrolling for a little too long. I'm like, oh, but wait. Like, I got so many more, like, creative ideas or
Yeah.
creative, like, what is it, arts and crafts that I can do. And that was an arts and crafts that, like, activity that I took upon. And what is it? He ended up loving it. He was, like, so, like, happy. He was like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I did it. And I'm like, thank you, TikTok. I was like, that's where
Yep.
it comes
Me,
in.
Pinterest, me, TikTok. Like,
This.
yeah.
I think like building my vision board, like being like, okay, what do I need to do? I will say like in those moments, sometimes I find that like in moments of like despair or in like moments of like spiraling, it really is needed to then help me like refocus. And I find that like my mental resilience is like I'm building that up, and I would say also just creating more stability for myself. I'm creating that like inner stability to then like okay create external stability. And I don't know, like I feel like also in a way I was talking a little bit about how you're becoming more resilient, right? Because you show like that emotional strength and that emotional what is it or mental strength as well, like going in a place that has once hurt you. But it has also allows like the other people to get to know you again or relearn you, and you get to relearn them and through a different lens. It's weird, but it has allowed me to now connect with my mom in a different way where we are having different conversations now that I have, I think, a different way of viewing things. Or I'm able to also now have conversations where I feel as though previous family wouldn't have had because maybe I felt like scared or I don't know. I think I was very much more meek when I was before college. Whereas now I'm like, hey, mom, I don't really like how you said that. And I was like, I don't know. Like, obviously with it, we got to air
Yeah.
caution because she's still a mother and she's still Latina. That she still can, be like, you live under my house, And I was like, oh, okay. But I think she also sees me as an adult now in a way, even though she still sees me as a kid. And we can talk about that too, like the way
Oh
how
my
like
God,
our
yes.
parents sees us, because they're very picky and choosy. I will say when they want to see as an adult and then when they want to see as a child. But I also am very picky and choosy when I want to be seen as an adult and when I want to be seen as a
That,
child. Once they hit me with like, oh, you can start paying bills, I was like, oh, but I'm a
I'm your
child.
darling
But I'm
daughter.
but I'm your baby. Am I not your firstborn? Like, I
That,
don't know what to tell you. Like, I think this is okay. But then all of a sudden, when I want to go out, I'm out till like, X amount of time. We don't got a home. Like, that's what my mom is like. We don't. Where's the respect? And I'm like, no, there is respect. Like, let's not go there. I was like, I apologize. But I think all of that, like, it has allowed me to reconnect with my family. It has allowed me to find new ways to also reconnect with myself. And I would say, what is it? At least the ways, I mean, I talk about how I cope, be it through journaling, be it through using that boredom and looking at it through a different mindset, but really also, going back to what has worked for me before. And I feel as though who knew routines and systems help, right? But like I keep saying that,
Queen
but
Science was
really,
right. Like,
no, really, like who knew? But I was like, oh, I find that in a way I can build that routine at home because I have, okay, like my home is stable, right? Like I don't have to worry about finances or whatever the case may be. So I think that's one of the positives of being at home where, okay, I don't need to, I think of that TikTok where I don't need to work as hard. I don't need to like break my back,
yeah.
but I do need to, in a way, I think, be a break my back in different ways. However, it really is like your mindset. And I think for me, the way I see it, once I started noticing that there was a dip in my mindset, oh, I said it's time for therapy. I said, oh, it's time to maybe pull up on my support team, my support group a little bit more, meaning like my community. And what is it? Like I said, having those stronger boundaries, being able to be firm in those boundaries. And like I said, not making like being okay with not making everyone happy. Independence is different for everyone, but I think at least the way that my therapist, like we love her, she has helped me reframe this notion of, hey, what you're doing is also helping them. Even though I may not feel like it, even though it may not seem like it, and even though it's going to take them a while or some time to do so, it is helping them. They're growing from it, and they also need to be able to, I think, because they have this over reliance on me, where now they can also build that reliance on themselves. And I like how you put it with, like, for example, like your mom, okay, hopefully, yes, girl, I want to see you at these events. I want to be able to like that's important. And I think I also, oh my God, that's what came to my mind and like it went back out, but like it came back now. Oh, where they didn't have that availability because they gave their life for us. And I mean, at least my mom had me at the age of 20 and she had me so young where her whole life has been her kids. I
Yeah.
feel as though she has not had a chance to live her life. And I want her to use this time now that like, okay, like her firstborn is like doing her thing, like now out and about. Her secondborn out at college, so he's not home. And her third, she's growing. She has her own things. Like that girl is a social butterfly. She's always yapping on the phone. You would think that she is just, she's in her own little world. I want her to find herself and reinvent herself in a different way. And I think that's also it's hard because it's like, oh wait, like she's stuck in this mindset where she always has had us. But
Yeah.
it's like, wait, my kids are not anymore there. What do I do? Like I know alarm bells are like going off in her head all day, every day, but I'm like, man, like mom, I love you, but I want you to be able to also like your life, like thank you, I appreciate you, and we're gonna do the best that we can now trying to it's also now up to us to live our lives and to do it to make ourselves proud and to live for us. Same way I want her to live for herself. So,
You
I
seen
mean,
like the videos that are like it's like your parents' first time living too? Like, God damn it, always hits.
no, they don't. Because I think it gives me this sense of being able to give them grace.
Yeah.
When, like, I know she gets upset or she gets in her own world or whatever the case, but I'm like, I see her. I'm like, no, mom, like, I see you. Like, you're just a little girl, same way, like, my little girl wants tending to. Like, we're all just girls just trying to do our best. I mean, not all girls, sorry. Like, we're all just people trying to do our best. We're all just little kids like now having all of these responsibilities, all of these, what is it, goals, aspirations, also limitations, also just any constraints. so much to it. So how do we navigate that? It's very difficult. It's complex. I mean, it's multifaceted in a way of like how you deal with it, also depending on your circumstances. But at least for me, I think I know we always talk about or we are real with what we're going through and wanting to offer like that, what is it, consolation or those I would say like some beacon of hope. I think also it's okay to sit with those feelings. At least as someone who like is always on the go, always somebody who's trying to be like, oh, what's next? Or like, I don't want to think about what's happening or like, cause
Yeah,
then I
it's kind of hit
spiral
a
or
moving
whatever the
target.
case. Right, right. But see this, see, so that
I'm not
has been
helping.
also, I feel as though that is going to be, not that it's going to be my downfall or my detriment, but I feel as though I find myself if I don't allow myself to feel those feelings, then it hits me way harder. Like one sometimes it's like one thing that may break it and I'm just like, oh, okay, well, it really wasn't that one thing. I'll tell you that right now. But now I see it's a whole like
Yeah.
it's a melting pot of just all these emotions that I just like let it boil and let it sit. And I was like, no, 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 I can continue letting it simmer. Let it simmer. Girl, no, it's overflowing now. It's bubbling. It very much like erupted at this
Yeah.
point. But I think like allowing yourself to have those moments where, okay, at least I know we've been more than 6 months post grad, I will say, right? And it's been six
We're
months
getting
plus
close to a
since
year. It's kind of crazy.
please, please don't remind me, please. I
Okay,
cannot
sorry.
I can't like I can't like I was like, what do you mean? But I feel that like it's okay to allow yourself to have those moments. Like cry it out, please. I know that it sucks. I know. I'm sorry. Like as somebody who like does not like sitting with them, and it feels like it's a whole wave of emotions. Not even it's like the whole sea of emotions coming onto me right now, and I feel things very deeply. I fear that like after maybe like if you let yourself cry, think it through, or whatever those feelings, you find yourself thinking clearer and thinking, okay, what steps do I need to take? And I think at least for me, it allows me to be more solution oriented. Okay, what is working and what isn't working? What am I doing? How am I being a victim to my own mind and my own life? And how am I also like being the creator of my own life and like doing the decisions or making decisions that need to be made in order to get myself to where I need to be? And that comes into play in so many ways. I mean, I think like, I don't know. I don't even know where to go. I mean, I'm probably gonna cut this out, but it's possible. Finding cultivating independence is truly possible. I mean, I think our folk, if anything, is if there's a will, there's a way. There you
Yeah.
go. And we may fall off for a little bit, but we're gonna get right back up. And the way I see it is that those falls are just becoming shorter and shorter, like just becoming less and less, if anything. Whereas like, okay, now I get back even quicker. And would you look at that? Now it's like as if it didn't even happen. But just allow yourself to have those moments too is like at least my type of advice. Because as somebody who doesn't allow myself to feel. I'm like, no, please.
Hey, it comes with time, and like you said, like you've grown a lot in that realm too. I hope that what we've shared is helpful or at least resonating to other people in some way,
Yeah.
shape, or form. We're trying to share what 20s look like today, and I don't know, these are our 20s. I'm sure that there are other people whose
Mhm.
20s look somewhat similar.
Yeah.
Maybe it's the noisy background like me, or it's the trash and chores like you.
I was gonna say, be it whatever the case may be, or whatever pieces of advice throughout this however long episode,
It'll be
we hope
shorter
that
by the time we get.
no, yes, but I was gonna say I don't have like an exact time, but we hope that it offers you something. We hope that you are seen in some way at least, and not that it has to resonate with you to a T, but that we all are navigating these complexities and these external responsibilities and everything in the midst of trying to live our lives. That's really what it is of doing our day to day. And we really are glad that you guys are here to be on this journey with us. We can't wait to share so many more, I would say, unsolicited advice.
Oh, definitely
With this.
unsolicited, but I hope that if you're listening, there's, some kind of interest in hearing what we have to say.
Yes, and to this too, please also let us know what you would like to hear, like any topics, anything that may you would want us to delve deeper into, be it that we have our own experiences. We would love to talk about it. At least like, yeah, we can give it a try.
At the very least, yeah, but I think we're good to go. We're good to sign off. Yours truly,
Bye, Pam.
and Arshita.
Okay.